Week 6 in the National Football League World of Matchups is back. We are here bringing the heat against the spread the entire Week 6 slate. Producer and co-founder of World of Matchups. A1 from day one, Mr. Spencer the Wiz. Spencer, what is going on?
Nothing much. It's always a good week when your team wins. It's just a good feeling, carries you through the week. You can watch the highlights. When you lose, you just have to I avoid the news. Even if it's about football in general, because it just reminds me, you know what I mean? But so it's been a good week for me.
Yeah, that's a good week. That's a good win for the Raiders. I bet against them, and they showed up. Their defense looked really, really good. My team won yesterday, albeit not looking very good. A win is a win. I'd rather have an ugly win than a pretty loss in the National Football League any day of the week. Let's go. These London games need to stop, man. I'm not a big fan. The Baltimore Ravens -4.5. They go to London to take on the touchdown Tennessee Titans led by Mike Vrabel and Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry. I don't like this game at all. This is definitely one that I will not wake up to watch. I could care less about either of these teams. And the Baltimore Ravens, I'm sorry. This is the most overrated team in the National Football League. I said it. I will stand on that 10 toes down. And I'll debate this till my last breath. Every time I need them to show up, they absolutely do nothing. Lamar is stealing money. I'm sorry. The run game is just a mashup of a bunch of random guys. Odell Beckham is an absolute bum and stealing money. I'm not galvanized by anything they're doing. I'm not buying anything they're putting down. And for them to be putting 4.5 on the road after losing in egregious fashion on the Randy Moss call to Kenny Pickett, I'm sorry. Give me the Titans plus the 4.5. I know last week I said I was done with the Titans. I lied. I'm back on the touchdown Titans train. I definitely see Derrick Henry having an enough game here to keep that 4.5 intact. The Ravens just don't do it for me, man. Baltimore fans, where are you guys? Come talk to me about what is going on with your team. Because every time they are about to take the next step to at least be playoff bound and win a game, they stink the joint up versus a really lousy team. I'm not feeling anything that's coming out of Baltimore. And like I said before, man, I think Lamar Jackson, I've never seen a player live off an MVP. So milk an MVP as long as his guy has milked the MVP. It's like when Cam got his MVP. Y'all are milking Lamar's MVP like this. The guy has done absolutely nothing since then, and that contract to me was not deserved. But you paid him, and now you have to live with it. But at least show us something because you are not. Titans plus 4.5.
I'm going to go opposite here. I just don't think there's any physically possible way that they can play worse than they did last week. I mean, it's
dropped 10 passes or something like that.
Yeah, it's just got to be something on their shoulders, like a little bit of pride. They haven't really put together a great performance this year, and I tend to think that they will. And the Tennessee is just one of those teams that is such a wild card. It's like almost like they flip a coin before they go into the stadium and say, all right, guys, how are we playing today? Horrible or great? So I don't know. London games are always weird. I think the under is probably the winner of this game ultimately, but I do think the Baltimore Ravens will win this one.
Yeah, I could see that too. I mean, they did drop 7 passes last week. Usually after a tough week of practice, they get it together, but I'm still not putting down what they're putting out. I have to see it first before I jump on that train. I'll walk before I ride that train. Next, Washington Commanders. They head to Atlanta to take on the Falcons. The Falcons are -2.5. But the Falcons are hanging in there, man. Okay, I went on record as saying Desmond Ridder stinks, and I still think he stinks. One game is not going to be enough to convince me otherwise. I'm not a big fan of him. But, when you have Bijan Robinson and you have these ancillary players like Drake London, and they're getting Kyle Pitts more involved, like I said, they absolutely needed to. They're starting, Arthur Smith is starting to, drop some plays for this, Adonis of a tight end. They've been in these games. Conversely, I don't like Washington, man. I like Eric Bieniemy, but I just think they're underachieving with what they have. Brian Robinson is good. Terry McLaurin is good. I think Jahan Dotson could be a number 1 wide receiver on some of these NFL teams. They just really haven't managed to put it together. I think that the defense has underachieved as well. They've got murked in a couple games too, which never is a good look. I'm not saying Atlanta's world beaters, but they have a really good kicker in Younghoe Koo who could steal this one at the end. 2.5, so you're giving me a field goal wins it. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take Atlanta minus the points here simply because the last couple times these spreads have looked like this, I've taken the visiting team, and somehow at the end of the game, they have found a way to win the game. And so I'm going to go with Atlanta, not with confidence, but I will lay the 2.5.
Yeah, the key term here is at Atlanta. Atlanta is very good at home. You can deny it all you want, but you can
go back. It's a fact.
They just play better at home. And Washington and Denver have new ownership, and I think they're taking it in very different directions. The new Denver ownership wanted to make a splash. They traded away half the team for an old quarterback. And Washington said, hey, wait a second now. We're ownership. We're not giving up this team next week. We got to build something here. So they went with Sam Howell. They knew Sam Howell wasn't going to be their long-term quarterback. Let's be honest here. You say that because you have to, right? You're going to the season and you want to sell season tickets. But I think it's going to start getting worse and worse for Washington. I've been saying that, and I think that's very true. They can punt on a season, get one of these, generational quarterbacks. Who knows? I mean, obviously no one knows for sure, but there's at least two quarterbacks in this draft that are going to be fighting for the number one overall spot. In Washington, more than likely is going to be right there. And I think that's really what their main goal is. I think Atlanta's just an overall better team. I think they have a good defense, and I think the Washington season is going to keep going downwards. I'm going to take Atlanta at home. It seems to be one of the safer bets here, in the NFL.
Yeah, there's just certain teams at home. They're different teams. The Lions, the Falcons. Just I can't deny that either. The Commanders just haven't shown me enough, and their secondary is good. I think Sam Howell is in trouble this week. Next, San Francisco 49ers coming off another resounding beatdown. They travel to the dog pound of Cleveland, minus 9.5. Deshaun Watson is stealing money. This guy is an absolute bum. I don't care what anyone says, man. Get this guy out of there. This will go down as the biggest mistake the Cleveland Browns have ever made in franchise history. In comes P.J. Walker, backup scrub quarterback versus a stout defense. No Nick Chubb. David Njoku burned his face off. This is a resounding Niner win again. I'm sorry. I know their defense is really good in Cleveland. I know the Niners are on the road. But I'm here to tell you, man, the Niners are Super Bowl bound if they get that game in their building. They're on a mission. CMC right now is the MVP of the National Football League. Don't be scared to lay points in the National Football League. We tell you this every single week. Scared money don't make money. And I think they absolutely eviscerate this team. How is Cleveland going to score? This is the question that I have when I look at this matchup. Who's scoring? Literally. I mean, you have a backup quarterback, a backup running back. You have very ancillary pieces on the wideouts. Who's scoring? Niners in a rout, 31-13.
This should be a 13.5-point spread. P.J. Walker versus the 49ers defense. I mean, this would be the shock of the century if they kept this game close. I'm 100,000% going with San Francisco 49ers. And the fact that it's 9.5 makes me, I don't know, interested in making this like one of my best bets of the week. Something seems off here. I'm going to take the bait. Let's just say that. I love the 49ers at 9.5 versus PJ Walker.
Put the 49ers on every single ticket you have, folks, and go to Sizzler. Next. Saints minus 1.5. They visit the Houston Texans. I've been on the Texans train all year, man. Even in their losses, I've liked them a lot because I think C.J. Stroud got jobbed out of the number one pick. I'm going to mention it on every single episode we air because I told all of you and none of you wanted to listen. And quite frankly, I'm still waiting for the flowers that haven't shown up at my doorstep. All that being said, I'm taking the Saints here. Why? Because this is going to be the type of defense that's going to give C.J. Stroud problems. The Saints' defense is so slept on, it's disgusting. Now, I know their offense isn't great because they have Derek Carr, but they still have really good pieces, man. And they took apart a New England Patriots team. I mean, it was pathetic. Boy, the Patriots are pathetic. They absolutely dismantle that team. And I'm here for all of it because I can't stand the Patriots. But I think that The Saints need their flowers too, man. Since I've known you, Spencer, I've been telling you how good the Saint D is, man. I can't tell you how many backdoor covers I've found with them. And if they could just start getting Chris Olave involved, Alvin Kamara looks like the old Alvin Kamara. They have decent pieces on their wideouts. You know what I mean? Like, Michael Thomas is still okay. I can't see a world where they lose this game, even on the road. Normally, they're another one of those teams that play better at home. But after that bludgeoning of a Belichick coach team, I don't see how anyone could not take them just -1.5 here. I think this could be -5, and they would still cover. Houston is good, but they're going to have to run up the middle, which I don't think they're going to be able to do. And C.J. Stroud's still a rookie, and I think this is going to be the best defense he has faced to date. -1.5. Go with the Saints. Who dat? All day.
Yeah, Houston is farther along than I think anybody thought they would be. And also the report came out that the Raiders tried to trade up the number 1 overall to take C.J. Stroud, and it still stings a little bit to me. I'm not going to lie. It still hurts a little bit. I'm still reeling over that. But he is on the Houston Texans, and he's playing great football. And I did not think overall the Houston team would be playing this well. But, yeah, I mean, the Saints defense is like literally bought them wins. The Saints really haven't had a real first test of the season so far, it feels like. I'm waiting for that to happen, but yeah, it's not going to happen this week. I think their defense carries them. Derek Carr is going to have his 1 touchdown, 1 interception game, a couple rushing touchdowns in there, and then they'll win like 21-13, something like that. So I agree with you. I'm going to take the Saints here.
Yeah, we're in agreement here. Saints D is ridiculously slept on. Next, Carolina Panthers. They are +14. They're headed to Miami to take on the Dolphins, who are really good team, man. Dolphins are a playoff team, with a really good coach and really good skill players, and their defense is coming along. I know they got beat to death by the Bills, but outside of that, they have really played well, and I like them here. I told you last week, man, look, it's really hard when you have a Bryce Young-led team with a really bad offensive line. Miles Sanders is a bum, and your ancillary pieces are like guys who are boom or bust. I know Adam Thielen has looked okay, but the Hayden Hursts of the world, the defenses, they just don't have it. Okay, they're coming out and saying that they're trying to land a big fish right now to give Bryce Young someone else to throw to. Like, who are you going to go get? Jerry Jeudy? I mean, is Jerry Jeudy that good? I used to think he was. I'm starting to maybe not think so. I don't know.
Steve Young doesn't, or Steve Smith definitely doesn't think that he's a good
receiver. Steve Smith flamed him, and rightfully so. And then he went out and did nothing versus Kansas City. I mean, come on, man.
I agree with you. Everyone was like talking about Steve Smith, like, oh, he shouldn't be talking all this. Well, first of all, Steve Smith was a dog when he was playing.
He's a dog.
Like that's the way that he's always been. The way that he was like last night, everyone thinks like, oh, I'm trying to go viral. If you watch Steve Smith play, that is he played every down, even on the sidelines. That's how the guy is.
If I was ever to be a National Football League wide receiver to never win a ring, whose career would I have wanted? It would be Steve Smith. Steve Smith is invited to my house whenever he wants. He got a key to my house. Steve Smith is a dog, and everything he said about Jerry Jeudy is true. And then when Jerry Jeudy had an opportunity to go back it up versus Kansas City on Thursday night, what did he do? He did absolutely nothing. Now, are the Chiefs' defensive players really that good? I think they are. But Jerry Jeudy, man, 3 years ago I said you could be 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns. You have not shown me anything, so you are off that list. And go to Carolina and see what happens. It's going to be the same old thing. Their offensive line stinks. I think Miami absolutely rolls here. They don't have anything in the way of stopping the firepower of Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Raheem Mostert, and I know Arshan's on IR, but Jeff Wilson should be coming back. Those 4 players enough with Tua Tagovailoa should be enough to destroy this team 31-10 without breaking a sweat. I'm going to pick against Carolina until they cover versus somebody, and I will go on record as saying again, the worst mistake Frank Reich ever made in his life, was taking Bryce Young number 1 overall. And I will never back off that.
I'm not going to say necessarily that drafting Bryce Young is a mistake, but what I am going to say is that Carolina was nowhere near ready to take a quarterback first overall by giving away half their team. Just wasn't enough. when you look at CJ Stroud, you look at how much they invested into him when they took him at that spot, and it's not perfect, but it was enough. Like he has enough weaponry as a rookie to say, I feel like we can grow off of this, and then maybe in future years, then we try to get that special extra piece to put it over the top. When you look at Carolina, they traded away a number one wide receiver, and look at them now, desperately searching for a number one wide receiver. So don't make a trade like that unless you're ready to make a trade like that, because now you just look stupid. And now they're like 5 weeks into the season. First of all, I don't even like Frank Reich. I thought that was also, why are you giving this guy the keys to your franchise? What has he done that's, I don't know, at least in recent years, what has he done that's so special? It was not, to me, like Peterson going to the Jaguars. Like that guy won a Super Bowl. He took a year off. He was slept on, and he's like, he took over the Jaguars, and it was great. Frank Reich, I don't know. It just doesn't, something about it just seems a little bit off, and no one seems to be on the same page. And to be honest with you, though, on the same, to say something on the other way, it's like when you're 0-5, there's never going to be any like positive media. Everything you say is going to be scrutinized because you're 0-5. The only thing people really care about is wins and losses. They're just in a tough spot. I think that's what I'm really trying to say here. And nothing is better for Miami than playing teams like this, because these are the teams that they just absolutely blow out of the waters.
You're going to get fat off of them.
They like to pour it on, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it's going to get worse and worse and worse. So what'd you say the spread was in this game?
14. They're going to cover it, no problem.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm not for Miami. They're like Madden team. 14 points. They can get that in 5 minutes?
Miami's a real threat, you guys. And Frank Reich is just living off the best comeback in Buffalo Bills history. And I'll never back off that either. Next, let's roll to the Seattle Seahawks going to Houday and the Cincinnati Bengals. Bengals -3, Bengals at home. Bengals looked good last week. You called that. The odds makers set us up for that, and you didn't take the bait. Good job by you. It's just really difficult because, which Bengals team are you going to get? They haven't been consistent at all this year. But I think this is where we start to get consistent. I think if Joe Burrow's injury was going to get worse, it would have happened already. He looked really good, man. That bomb throw he threw to Jamar Chase, that ball, that might be one of the nicest balls I've seen since Tom Brady. That ball was absolutely a thing of beauty, man. I mean, you want to talk about a teardrop. You don't make those kind of throws if you're hurt. So they're home now. They know they need to make up some ground here because the other teams in the National Football League and the AFC are really doing well. Miami, Kansas City, Buffalo, they got to catch these guys, and I think this is where they start making their hay. Seattle's good, but they're not good enough to go on the road versus a team like this and win when this team is really desperate to get back in the hunt. Healthy, Cincinnati is a Super Bowl team, period, end of statement. We all know this, and I think this is where they start to, get back in the mix. I am worried about T. Higgins in that rib, but he's truly questionable if he's a game-time decision. I don't really think it matters when you have Jamar Chase on the other side because he's unguardable. Jamar Chase is always open like 7-Eleven, and until further notice, that's how it's going to be. Sprinkle in, mix in. Joe Burrow is Joe Burrow if he's healthy. I think they cover the 3 here easily. I know Seattle is good, but I don't really trust them on the road like this. DK Metcalf's kind of banged up, but he's a full go. It just depends on which team shows up on Sunday, and I'm going to take the one that normally chokes it away on the road. Go Cincy.
Yeah, this is tough. This is a really tough game. To be honest with you, I don't know which way I'm going to go. I think I like the over in this game, maybe, is like where I'm leaning towards. This is a game that I think is just good. This is just a good NFL matchup. Something in my bones is telling me Seattle is going to cover, or at least there's going to be a push. It just seems like it's going to be a game like that. Like, I like Cincinnati, and I kind of like Seattle, too. They had a real shaky start to the season, but shaky starts to the season don't really mean anything to me because the first 2 weeks of the NFL season are just pure chaos, and I don't know. There's just weird things that happen. Like, we're now settling into the season.
The season is on.
Comfortable. But when I evaluate these teams, they're pretty much right there with each other right now. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to go with my gut feeling here. I'm going to go with Seattle. Nothing would surprise me in this game, though. I'll be watching this one closely. This is going to be really entertaining, I feel.
This is the kind of game where the Cincinnati defense makes a play late and shows everybody that they really are better than we give them credit for. I mean, none of us are really giving the Cincinnati defense their flowers. If anything, I think they've regressed. Let's see it, Cincinnati. I'm taking you. Next, Colts, they visit the Jags. This is one of my favorite matchups when the Colts visit the Jaguars. Jaguars -4, because the Colts always win or cover. And so I'm taking the Colts again. I mean, look through history, the last, I think, like 7 or 8 meetings. I think the Colts knocked the Jags out the playoffs. I mean, it doesn't matter what's happening with the Colts or the Jaguars. The Colts go down there and cover. They do it all the time. Now, Jacksonville looked really good in London. I picked against them. They looked really good. They took the Bills apart. I watched a lot of that game. If we get that Jacksonville team, it's going to be a different story. But I don't think we will. Why? Because Jacksonville hasn't been able to put together consistent strings of games in quite some time. They're a very good team, but teams go there and win all the time. Jonathan Taylor is going to see the full complement of touches. They didn't give him a contract to sit behind Zach Moss. You know what I mean? Like, the rust is off now. We're going to play this guy. Gardner Minshew is an okay backup. Anthony Richardson, they're just going to get the guy killed. But the thing I do like about the Colts is that their defense is decent. Their offensive line is decent. And Gardner Minshew's not out there to hand the ball off, man. He'll throw the ball, and they'll let him do it. And so I know Etienne blew up last week. I know Christian Kirk has been very, very good. But where's Calvin Ridley? You know what I mean? He had an okay game. This guy was supposed to be the second coming of Jerry Rice for the Jags. Jags defense is good, but 4's a lot, man. I could see them winning this game by 3, or I could see the Colts winning the game outright, because they do it all the time down there. Folks, don't take my word for it. Do your homework. Go look at the last 10 times that the Colts have visited Jacksonville and get back to me on what has happened. And you're still going to give me those points? I'll take the Colts all day, every day, twice on Sunday, and eat a banana split when it's over. Colts +4.
The story of this game, I don't know, the story of the Jaguars season has got to be Trevor Lawrence.
He's not that good this year.
Where is this? It's not saying where is this guy is the wrong way to put it, but
he's average.
Is he really a top 10 quarterback, right? Because
that's the question.
Need a top 10 quarterback.
That is the question. Is he a top 10 quarterback?
It just seems like he fluctuates. You know what I mean? Like through the course
I'm
of
not so sure he is. I have him in fantasy. I'm ready to bench this guy.
I don't know. It's really interesting. It's really weird. And one other thing I want to say is I really think that the NFL is going to consider splitting the Jaguars season. The first half is in London. The second half is in the Jaguars. 2 games in a row. They are testing something out. I really think there's something to it.
Yep.
I think they really want an international team in the NFL. I'm not sure if they're ready to introduce a new team, but the Jaguars are there every year, and now they stayed 2 weeks in a row. It's not going to happen soon.
Yep.
I really think that they may plant them there because the Jacksonville Jaguars don't have good attendance. But if you shorten the season to half the home games are in Jacksonville, you're going to sell out your season tickets. This is a conspiracy theory.
They did a survey of Jags fans. I don't know if you saw this. This was maybe like a month ago, of what they would like to see happen versus like their tax dollars to build a stadium or to sell the team and have it go somewhere else. And the majority was like, sell the team and go somewhere else. They're the crash test dummies for Roger Goodell. They're going to end up in London if that ever happens. They'll be the first team to go. And
really believe
that maybe jet lag, you know what I mean? Good friend of mine just went back to Norway after being here for 2 weeks. She said she's destroyed. You know what I mean? Like, that stuff matters, man. You know what I mean? And so I like the Colts here a lot. I really, really do. I know it's a backup quarterback, but there's sound everywhere else.
Good though. Now,
give me the 4 points. I'll take.
Gardner Minshew easily could have been the starting quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, right? Him and Baker Mayfield have very little differences, in my opinion. I'm going to go with the Colts too, because every time Trevor Lawrence is supposed to play up, it's like they get momentum going like they do now, and they're like, okay, now I need you to put a good game in the division, and he goes, no, I can't do that. I mean, literally every time. I mean, that's every time defined their career. That's why they're like, in the middle 500s. Fighting for a playoff spot at the end, because every time they get a good win and then they go to the division, he just doesn't play well enough. I'd like to see him do it because I kind of like Trevor Lawrence, but until I see it, I'm going to bet against him. I got to see it.
Big facts. Until I see it, I'm going to bet against him. We are in agreement. Next, Purple People Leaders -3 at Chicago Bears. The Bears. I got a lot of friends who are Bears fans, man, and the results are mixed. A lot of them want them to just tank it out and get rid of Justin Fields. I'm one of those people that think Justin Fields is very good. I think he's got poor coaching and he's got poor things around him. It's a poverty franchise right now. But even with that being said, I'm taking the Bears at home +3. What have the Minnesota Vikings shown anybody to be favored on the road by 3 without Justin Jefferson? I'll wait for that answer. I'm sorry, man. Home dogs pay dividends. I think Justin Fields is a really good quarterback. I think he's starting to play the way he wants to play versus the way they want him to play. This pocket passer nonsense, that's not who he is, man. Let this boy spin. DJ Moore shows y'all on Thursday Night Football what he can do. I don't think that Minnesota defense is any good at all. You know what I mean? Alexander Madison doesn't do anything for me. I know TJ Hawkinson is good, but the other guys are just average. KJ Osborne is an average wide receiver. And then you have a rookie. I mean, Kirk Cousins serves up turnovers like the Biden administration giving out those $600 stimulus checks. I am not feeling the Minnesota Vikings. They're 1-4. Where are they going? This is going to be a bet that traps everyone into thinking, yeah, they'll just win this one, then they'll maybe get another one, then they'll get Justin Jefferson back, and then all of a sudden they'll be in the playoffs. No, they won't. This team stinks. Kansas City beat this team up in their own building. They are literally going to get rid of Kirk Cousins after this year, if not during the season. It's over, Minnesota. Your defense stinks. Without JJ, your offense is very mid. I'm taking the Bears at home, and I'm taking them with confidence. You heard her here first. They are going to find a way to play hard. They played hard versus Washington. That team has got pride. They are not going to lay down in their own building. Bears +3.
Oh man, this is just a weird game. I mean, I don't know. We haven't even seen the Vikings without Justin Jefferson. I think ever. I don't think he's ever missed a game until this point. So it's really hard to evaluate them. Chicago is really just that bad, though, and I think Washington is really that bad too. Golly,
they're going to be all over Kirk Cousins. Watch.
The Bears
that
had
offensive
a lot
line
of
is
juice going
trash.
into that Commanders game, but who on the Bears is going to rack up a bunch of sacks? Who's on their front four that's so scary? I can't think of the names. I mean, obviously, I'm sure they have at least a couple guys. Oh gosh, I'm going to go with the Vikings. I just really think the Bears are that bad, and I think there were just a lot of circumstances around that Washington game that gave them a lot of extra juice. So I'm not taking them with confidence, but I just have a feeling that Minnesota is going to find a way to win this game, and Chicago Bears are going to find a way to lose it.
Justin Fields runs wild tomorrow. Whatever his props are, over on all of them, guys. You heard it here first. Don't be mad when it happens and you were too scared to lay it. Next. The Patriots, the most disgusting team in the National Football League. They fly to our city to take on your Las Vegas Raiders, coming off a big win, man. That's got to feel good. We both, I thought the Packers were going to find a way to win that game, but the Raiders showed me some defense for the first time in eons, man, which has got to be really
20 years.
You know what I mean? And so Bill Belichick should have retired when Tom Brady left. You're starting to really now see that Tom Brady made Bill didn't make Tom. They have nothing. Juju Smith-Schuster is out. They're flying across the country. Ramondre Stevenson has done nothing. I told you last week what would happen, and what I said happened. Mac Jones is going to continue to get benched until Bill and Robert Kraft just say, we can't stand this anymore. We made a mistake with this guy, and Bailey Zappe should be our quarterback. That guy should start. Mac Jones stinks. Guys, he stinks. They have no serviceable wide receivers. Their best players are their tight ends. Zeke Elliott is a corpse back there in the backfield. This is a really bad team, man. A really bad team. And when you consider that, now that the Raiders have won and got one under their belt in their building, and now the next game is in their building, they're going to be fired up, man. Max Crosby is a man possessed. That guy could play on my team any day of the week. I will take Max Crosby any day of the week. The motor doesn't stop. Who's blocking that guy? Nobody on the Patriots can stop that guy. They just don't have enough offense to even score. Devontae Adams is still good. Jacoby Myers was showing up. They were throwing to Jacoby Myers the other day like Jerry Rice. Josh Jacobs is still good. If you get anything out of the Raider defense, they're going to win this game by 7 to 10 points. I love the Raiders, and I love them so much that they are my best bet.
Wow.
The Patriots
like
stink. They stink, and Bill should retire. Sit in your rocking chair and sip hot cocoa. It's over.
Yeah. Well, I talked about last week before that game how the Raiders Raiders fans, I talk about this every week, are just the worst.
They're delusional.
I don't like most Raiders fans. And silently, since that Steelers game, the field goal decision, which was terrible, but he said after the game, he said something, and I think it changed the season. He said, I did that because I trusted the defense. I've never heard a Raiders head coach say that in my life, okay? Like, literally my entire life. And I just think that it changed something about them. He's coached 2 good games in a row. I mean, I was like kind of done after that. But once that Chargers game came around, even though they lost, that was his best coach game, I think, as a Raider. And then he had another greatly coached game. The field goal says, I trust the defense. That's what he means. And he's changing the entire thought process for Raider Nation. How many years have the Raiders, those Ram games where Baker Mayfield goes down the field? It never ends. And I don't know, Patrick Graham, oh my gosh, I have said some not horrible things about him, like personally, but I've said, like, you know, he's a terrible defensive coordinator.
They played great Monday.
It really takes, it's just, you cannot build an elite defense in one season. It's just not possible. Yeah. I'm hoping I see a good trend from Josh McDaniels in terms of his coaching decisions, and he has. The offense hasn't scored 20 points yet in a game, but I'm not going to describe the Raiders' offense as anemic as someone like the Steelers, right? It just looks different. The Raiders have had some decent offensive plays, just too many turnovers, and that's on
Michael Mayer involved too, man. If that happens, his ascension now, another weapon. I don't see how the Raiders lose this game. I really don't.
I really like them in this game. I like the upward trend for them. I don't look again. The season, I'm not going to say it doesn't matter. It really doesn't, because they're not going to win the Super Bowl, and that's all that matters in an NFL season. But I'm liking what I'm seeing, and I feel like they're progressing. Like, literally everybody on the team, Trayvon Moehrig, these guys, Marcus Epps looked like a good signing. Spillane had the game of his life. All these people who said, oh, this is not Bobby Wagner.
Marcus Peters looked good.
These guys are under the radar, but that's how the Patriots had built those teams all those years. We're not drafting you to be the greatest ever. We need you to play a role.
It takes years, man. I mean, look at Kansas City's defense. 4 years ago, you could do whatever you wanted to do. Now they're a top 5 defense with the same defensive coordinator. Literally, like, you are not running on the Chiefs or throwing on the Chiefs. All of a sudden, that's what it takes. Same thing's happening, man. It's one step, and I think it's a good step. We both love the Raiders here. They're my best bet. The Patriots are awful, and I'm here for it, man. I'm enjoying it like my wedding day. They are horrendous, and every game they lose is like a Kansas City Chief win to me. Next, the Lions, the banged-up Lions. They fly to Tampa Bay to take on the Buccaneers. Somehow the Lions are -3. This is what you call a classic trap game. Now, I'll be the first one to sit here and tell you that I gloated all over Tampa when, you know, the Philadelphia Eagles came into town. I told everybody 5.5 was too much, and they absolutely got their doors blown off. Well, I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to double down. I'm telling you right now, going in the door, Tampa Bay, this is your last shot with me. Baker Mayfield, this is it. I hope you guys are listening. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, you guys listening, this is it. I will never home dog you again if you blow it here. I don't see how in the world you can be a home dog at home versus this team that is so banged up. No Gardner Johnson, no Jahmyr Gibbs. Sam Laporte is hurt. I mean, I know Amon-Ra's good. I know Goff is good. And I know mandatory Montgomery is going to be a beast back there. But you have enough to stay in this game in your building. Have some pride. You're the surprise team of the year right now in your building versus a very upstart team that thinks they're ready to take the next step. Show up for me here. I'm going to take you. I'm going to take you plus the 3. I like the Lions. I like them a lot, man. They showed me something last week. I mean, they blew out Carolina when I thought 9.5 was too much. But it's Carolina. You have a decent defense. You have a decent front 4. You're a well-coached team. You just have Baker Mayfield. And I'm not in love with your running game. But Mike Evans is still a beast. And is the Detroit defense that good? I'm not so sure they are, man.
Really?
I'm not so sure they are. I don't know, man. I'm not so sure. I know they've had good showings, okay? But let's be honest. If we catch one ball in Kansas City opening day, we win that game still. Who was the signature win that they really have versus a good, strong offense? You see what I mean? I'm going to take those points. I don't think I like Detroit a lot. I don't think they are there yet. And prove me wrong, Detroit, because I like you too. It's kind of a win-win for me. I want to see it. You would love to see it. But I think this is a game where they get clipped. A lot of people are going to be on the Detroit bandwagon. Home dogs pay dividends. Tampa +3.
Yeah, the strength of the Lions is their ability to run the ball 25, 30 times. But I do think that the Buccaneers are uniquely situated to handle that. Like Vita Vea is one of the best run stuffers in the last 2 decades. And they have a lot of really talented linebackers. And I think it could be a good team effort for them.
I do too.
Yeah, this is a tough one. I'm going to go ahead and agree with you. Not with a ton of confidence, but the Buccaneers have played pretty well this season. Silently. Yeah. They have made it happen. So until I see maybe that they don't make it happen, I will go ahead and I'm going to say the Buccaneers do find a way to cover. I could see them winning this game.
No one would have thought the Bucs would be 3-1 at this point. Nobody.
No. If you say that, you're lying. Pretty much, right?
Nobody. They're the surprise team of the NFL. They're gonna be 4-1. I really think so. You're gonna have to now pay attention to the job that coach is doing. You have to. I mean, they're the Bucs. The Tom Brady-less raped cupboard Buccaneers are 3-1. Then the only loss is to a Super Bowl runner-up. You know what I mean?
In a rain game too, by the way.
It wasn't even like a lousy game. Yes, yeah. Thank you. Thank you. The voice of reason on the other side of the glass, ladies and gentlemen. Spencer the Wiz. Next, Cardinals head to the Rams. Division game. Cardinals have put up a big fight, even though a lot of people thought they were going to stink this year. Joshua Dobbs, how the guy doesn't even have his jersey in the team stores is an absolute disgrace. I think they've played a lot harder and a lot better than to be recognized by a lot of people. Now James Conner is out. Okay, so that's huge because that's kind of the glue for their offense. They have a whole bunch of nobodies back there now. The Keontae Ingrams of the world, they don't instill anything into me. The Rams are a really good team. They're better than I thought they would be. I mean, at the end of the day, they still have a solid defense. I know they're only 2-3, but I think they're a hard 2-3, if you know what I mean. They're a hard 2-3. Puka Nacua has shown up, and I think there's going to be enough targets for Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp in this McVay-led offense. You know what I mean? Their running back Kyron Williams is very, very good, coming off a bad game. I know 7's a lot for a division game, but this is the Arizona Cardinals, man. They really don't instill much to me when you don't have a guy who can run the ball. And I'm not sold on what they have behind James Conner. And James Conner, man, you want to make a bet that hits every single year of your life. Just at the beginning of the year, anytime injury, James Conner. The guy is always hurt, man. Guy's always hurt, and he's always out. I'm going to take the Rams -7 here in their building, and I'm going to take them with confidence.
It just feels like the Rams are just about to explode. I think I wish I could take the over on the Rams specifically. I'm sure you can at some random sport.
They can score, man.
I feel like it's about to tip over. They played a tough game against the Eagles. The Eagles, man, they are a different kind of team, man. They are just a grind out game. It's like, you have to beat them, which it sounds like so straightforward. Obviously that's how you win the game, but that's just the kind of mentality they have. It's a grind out, long drives, touchdowns at the end, and you got to keep coming at it at this slow, monotonous pace. And I think that this is going to be a nice change of pace for the Rams. They really want this one. They feel like they're a better record than they're
better than 2-3.
Yeah, I'm not afraid of these points at all. Like I said,
either.
Arizona plays hard in the beginning of the season for their new head coach. The losses start coming in. The motivation to be so good defensively is going to start to wane. And I think this is the perfect opportunity for the Rams to break their will. I agree.
I love the Rams, too. We are in agreement. Next, the Philadelphia Eagles. The undefeated Philadelphia Eagles are -6.5 as they travel to the Meadowlands. And the Jets. Folks, I'm going to tell you going in the door, we both called the Jets last week, and the Jets showed up in a big way, and I'm going to call them again. The New Yorker in me is coming out, and I'm telling you going in the door, they are going to win this game, okay? They're going to win this game. Darius Slay, out. Quez Watkins, out. Jalen Carter, out. Breece Hall is a man possessed. There are no limitations on him anymore. I have seen this movie a million times. I don't care who it is. The Kansas City Chiefs went in there and they were a bad call away from losing that game. I've seen Dallas go in there and lose that game. Do not be scared. You're giving me 6.5 points with Sauce Gardner, a healthy Jets front four and defense, and a team that is losing 3 key pieces. You're not going to go undefeated. Eagles fans will tell you that this is a game that they're worried about, and they should be worried. The Jets, the one thing I love about the Jets, man, is they never lay down. When was the last time you saw the Jets lay down for anyone? They will fight you to the end. And I think this is their Super Bowl. This is their Super Bowl. Zach Wilson's going to just hand the ball. Breece Hall is going to be possessed. Not having Jalen Carter in the middle is humongous in this game. 6.5. You want to talk about a hole in the ground waiting for you to fall in it? That's what that is. I love the Jets here. I love the Jets here. I think they play as hard as they have ever played on Sunday, and I think the Eagles could lose this game. I'm taking the Jets.
I'm going to disagree with you on this one. I think that Zach Wilson puts in his worst performance of the season, if that's even possible, and I think it's just going to lose them the game. The Eagles are one of those teams, I feel like, and, Darius Slay is, pretty rough, but it's not like they have a quarterback who's just going to start slinging the rock all over the place. I just feel like the Eagles are going to be able to scheme like Bill Belichick and just take this guy out. They're going to stack the box. They're going to put him in some, weird blitz situations. The Eagles are just very creative in the way that they, have their team. Like the Rams were able to get a lot of yards because, the Rams were able to push the ball downfield. Zach Wilson just can't do that. I mean, not on a consistent basis. Maybe I'm dead wrong, but I'm not really afraid for the Eagles anywhere. They run this like real grindy type of offense that just doesn't feel like any defense is suited to take on with any sort of confidence.
The Jets are.
We'll see. This is one game where we definitely have like polar opposite opinions. It's not as close. I really think the Philadelphia Eagles are going to dominate in this football game.
I don't know. I think the Jets are going to surprise some people tomorrow, man. Coming off a big road win, defensive-minded coach. They got some killers on that Jets line too, man. Don't sleep. This is going to be a good game. Quietly, it's going to be a good game. And to the other New York team, Jesus, man. Fix it, Jesus. Because the Giants need help. They're banged up all over the place. Daniel Jones' neck is falling off. Saquon Barkley's ankle injury may still keep him out. I don't know why they would even play him at this point. They have no chance of winning this game. They go to the Bills. Bills are home minus 14 and a half, coming off a long trip home from losing that game in London. I think the Giants get absolutely feasted on. Darren Waller's a bum, always hurt. Another guy, anytime injury, Darren Waller, you're going to eat steak and lobster. Who do they have, man? Wan'Dale Robinson. I mean, Tyrod Taylor's still even in the league. Seriously, man. Like, come on, stop it. That guy's an XFL player. I love the Buffalo Bills here to roll. I think it's going to be like 31-3. 34-3. They're going to get James Cook involved. They've been sleeping on this guy. Stephon Diggs has no one that can guard him on the Giants. Not even close. Kayvon Thibodeau has been a ghost. Let's stop acting like this guy has done something this year after he had a decent rookie year. The sophomore slump is real. He's done absolutely nothing. Brian Dable looks like somebody stole his lunch money. It's a bad scene in New York. And at this point, honestly, you did it to yourself. You did it to yourself. You lowballed Saquon, so he's out of there. You gave Danny Dimes the key to the kingdom, and he's been terrible. This team's going to be bad for the next 3 or 4 years, and it's just going to continue on Sunday Night Football for the whole world to see. The Giants have not led at any point this season. This spread could be 21.
How is that possible?
This spread could be this spread could be 21. This could be a college football. This could be the Oregon Ducks versus the Colorado Buffaloes minus 21. And I think Buffalo would cover these points. Seriously, I mean, Tyrod Taylor, stop it, man. 14 and a half, I'm going to lay the points and go with the Buffalo Bills in a rout in their building on Sunday Night Football.
Doesn't the Bills season write itself? It's just it's a very bizarre football team. You can just be like, yeah, they're going to lose. I don't know. You can almost point like, oh yeah, they're going to lose this game against the Jags. It's just what they do. And then they always come back the next week in Buffalo.
I thought they would beat the Jags, and I watched a lot of that game last Sunday morning before
Buffalo
church.
Bills
and
are just habitual, letting you down.
They just let you down when you absolutely need them the most. That's who the Bills
when
are.
you think they have 3 or 4 wins together, they just don't. They just seem to never do that.
Same
But
thing
they're back at home. They play the
home.
Giants. They're going to get back on track, win by a billion points, and then there you go.
And then next week we'll have to bet against them. Let's remember this because we already know that Josh Allen is 3 interceptions waiting to happen next week. Who they got next week? They're going to definitely lose to somebody next week because that's how they are, man. They never, ever, ever show up. Oh, the Bills got me. this week. They got the Patriots. Watch that be the Patriots' first win.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
Belichick schemes the defensive game of his life. And finally, Monday Night Football, October 16th. The Dallas Cowboys somehow are minus 2 points, heading to SoFi to take on Justin Herbert and the LA Chargers. I cannot in a million years figure out how Dallas is favored in this game. How? How is Dallas favored in this game? It's mind-blowing to me. Justin Herbert is coming off a bye week. Austin Eckler will be back. They are in their building. Keenan Allen's having a fantastic renaissance year. Dak Prescott stinks. We said it. We call that down the middle. They got absolutely eviscerated. Now, will they come in mad? Doesn't matter. Defense cannot score points. Not enough points to beat a team with a good offense in their building. Justin Herbert knows what people are saying about him. He's a social media quarterback. To this point, he's had a very good year. Now, he's got the broken finger on his non-throwing hand. I don't think it's going to matter. Dump off Austin Eckler, go for touchdowns all the time. I think they'll still be able to stretch the field. They're going to start getting Palmer and Quentin Johnson involved. Khalil Mack had 6 sacks in a game this year, folks. The defense is not horrendous. I know they can give up points, but they're not horrendous to the point where they should be home dogs to Dallas. Dallas stinks, man. You want to talk about a waste of talent. And it sucks because they're really good players. CeeDee Lamb's a good player. Brandon Cooks is 1,000 yards every year of his life. Tony Pollard is a very good player. This kid, Jake Ferguson, is a very good player. Micah Parsons is a very good player. We clown the Mazi Smith pick. That's a good pick for them. They have slowed that run game down. Dallas is a good team. Did they just run into a really, really good Niner team? I mean, Niners could go to the Super Bowl. But I can't take Dallas here. I can't after what I witnessed, I can't take Dallas here anywhere until I see them blow a team out. And so I'm taking the Chargers here, plus the 2. Even if they lose, it'll be by a point. I mean, they just have no answer to a home team under the lights. The last time I saw Justin Herbert under the lights was that game where they choked it away versus you guys, but he was a man possessed. He was unstoppable, and he could take over the whole field. I know Dallas's defense is really, really good, but they have lost Trevon Diggs. I like the Chargers here, and I like them big. I think Dallas is in trouble. Too. Dallas is in trouble, man.
When they lost Diggs, I mean, that's just completely changed.
That is such a huge loss, and people have poo-pooed it as not being a huge loss. Gilmore is old. Diggs helped Gilmore.
Yeah,
now you don't have him.
Yeah, I mean, having Stephon Gilmore as your secondary cornerback is a very good thing.
If he has to be the guy...
Yeah, it's just naturally, right? Like, you just can't be a lockdown corner for your entire career, like, as a number one. It's just, like, physically impossible.
It's physically impossible to do. You can do it for maybe 6 years, man. Look at all the greats. Look at Revis Island. I mean, all the greats. I mean, eventually you lose a step. You know what I mean? And there are good wide receivers on this team. There's good wide receivers on this team. And Austin Eckler's a cheat code. He hasn't played in weeks. He's ready. Austin Eckler wants Jonathan Taylor money, folks.
Yeah, and you saw what Christian McCaffrey did too. I like the Chargers.
Christian McCaffrey went bananas on this. Dude, if Dallas's defense is so good, how did you get 42 hung on you? 42. I'm sorry, dude. 42. You get 42 hung on you, and then you're favored the next week, and you're on the road? Am I missing something?
Yeah.
What am I missing? Unless CeeDee Lamb against Jerry Rice, they are losing this game. And I'm 10 toes down on that.
I agree with you. I like
week 6 in the National Football League. That's the spit, folks. That's the wrap up. Enjoy the game. Spencer and I will be back week 7. Parting shot, Spence.
Yeah, great slate of games this week. A lot of close matchups. And I don't care about the big name matchups. I mean, I watch them, obviously. I like them. But I like one of these, like, these two teams that are around the same level. These are the best weeks of the NFL for me.
Yeah. I think, like you said earlier, this is where we're past training camp, we're past preseason. The first 2 weeks are done. You are who you say you are right now.
Exactly.
What you show on Sunday is who you are. What's the one team in the National Football League right now that you're really worried about?
Who really worried about? Maybe it's the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, I don't worry about them, but in terms of their expectations versus what I'm seeing over the course of the season, it's got to be the Cowboys.
Yeah, I have two that I'm really concerned about. One is definitely the Cowboys, because this is a team that's Super Bowl ready. And literally, if it doesn't happen this year or next year, they got to get rid of Dak. And at that point, Gilmore's gone, and will Lamb want to stay? You're going to have a lot of problems there. You got small running backs. All of a sudden, a Super Bowl team is now just barely a playoff team, if that. The other team I'm really concerned about is the Kansas City Chiefs, man. I'm worried about my team a lot. I don't like what I've seen on offense at all. They don't have anybody that could get any kind of separation. I think Andy Reid's arrogance and pride is keeping him from seeing what guys like Justin Ross can do. And the bottom line is their defense is winning them these games. They're 5-1, but they could easily be 1-5. Let's be honest. If that defense hasn't come together the way it has right now, they're in big trouble. Patrick Mahomes looks very pedestrian. He's running more because he has no choice. They miss Juju Smith-Schuster in the worst way. And literally, if this team does not go out and get a number one wide receiver, I see them getting bounced in the first round of the playoffs. A lot of Chiefs fans are like, but they're winning and they look good and Andy did this. I'm more of kind of like a realist. I view Kansas City as, can this team win a Super Bowl? Not make the playoffs, not win 12 games. They're going to do all that. That's what they do. You wake up and Kansas City does that. Can they win a Super Bowl? Can they go into Buffalo in the playoffs and win? Can they go into Cincinnati in the playoffs and win? Can they beat San Francisco or Philadelphia on a neutral field and win? Right now, the answer is no. It's no. Why? Because they can't score. And so I'm really concerned. A lot of people are happy with that. I went to bed really pissed and woke up really pissed. And when I wake up pissed with a W, you know that it's a problem. I'm not a homer. I'm a realist. And I have this love-hate relationship with Andy Reid. These trick plays, this is all nonsense. I don't know what's going on. I miss Eric Bieniemy. I really do, man. Get this Matt Nagy guy out of here. Get this guy off my team. Get MV ass off my team. Get CEH off my team. These guys are stiffs. Get them off my team. These guys don't deserve to be. Get Sky Moore. Get him off my team too, man. I need a guy. Go get Mike Evans. Get me somebody that can go downfield. Patrick Mahomes is going to be wasted here in a minute, folks, and I know you guys think I'm crazy. You're crazy. I've been watching every snap of every minute of every second of every hour of this team since I was 19 years old. I know when a team is in trouble, and if this team doesn't figure it out here soon, the Chargers are going to come into Kansas City in 2 weeks, and they're going to have their hands full. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Week 6, World of Matchups. We'll be back next week. You guys enjoy the games. Good luck to the Vegas Raiders, man. I think you'll definitely win that game, Spencer. Enjoy the games. I'll text you up during the weekend.
All right.
See you guys next week. Peace.